What is up, everybody? Welcome back to RC's Good Way to Comics. Today we are going to be talking about how you can create a new mythology for your creative work. And there are several different ways that you can do this. And at the end of this video, I'm going to tell you my method for creating a new mythology for the Red Sky series. Now, the first way that you can do this is by pulling from existing mythologies. There's a lot of different ones that you can pull from. You can pull from Roman mythology, Greek mythology. Those ones are probably the most popular ones, but you can also pull from like folklore stories. I know that there are various different places throughout the world that have their own legends and stories behind them. And like, I know that New Jersey has like the Jersey Devil and other stuff like that. Like, it can be stuck to one region, but you can still pull from that. And by doing this, you're able to put your own spin on these stories. And you're able to maybe make it work into your story and maybe provide some additional information that makes it flow well in what you're creating. These stories, so long as they're like public domain or have been myths or legends for years upon years upon years, like even since like ancient times, those ones are okay to use. It's like if it's public knowledge and is able to be used in that way, go right ahead. You have, well, in most cases, you have pretty much no limits on what you can do with those myths. And those are probably the easiest ways that you can create a new mythology. So, like, if you wanted to, let's say, you wanted to write a horror story, and you wanted to include something like aliens visiting Earth, and you wanted to have like the Roswell incident included in that, and you also wanted to have skinwalkers be somehow molded into the story. Those are both myths and legends that you can pull from to make your story. Now, another way that you can look at this is with like the Greek mythologies and Roman mythologies, because both of those, I think it was the Roman mythologies that pulled from the Greeks, and they sort of made their own belief system based on that. It's like Jupiter was Zeus, and there's a bunch of different names that, or there's a bunch of different gods in the pantheon that are named differently but are pretty much the same with like little to no changes. And you can always go back and you can use those characters in your mythology as like legends and myths, and you can use that as a stepping stone to create your own mythology in your books. And I find that to be the easier way of doing things, and it would make a lot more sense if you have the story set in the quote-unquote real world, like Earth. Now, the second way that you can create your own mythology is definitely much more difficult, and it's probably better suited for fantasy work, and this is making everything from scratch. Make the god of your world completely original, and make it so that everything is built on stuff that is already in your universe. The legends are already from your universe. The myths are from your universe. Yes, you can take inspiration from the legends and myths that are in the real world, or real world per se, but you have to change them in a way that they are original to your universe and it makes sense in your universe. Like you are not going to have a Roman pantheon influencing the legends in your fantasy novel. It would be like having the hobbits from the Lord of the Rings reference the Greek gods. It wouldn't make sense because they're not in the same universe. So take all that stuff. You can take inspiration from it, but you have to make it entirely your own. You have to make up how your hierarchy in your pantheon works. You have to make up how all of the universes in not universes, all the legends in your universe are spread around, who is part of those legends, who is the who are the most important figures in this mythology. All of that stuff is going to have to be made entirely from scratch. It's not a problem. It's definitely not a problem. I have massive respect for anybody who is able to do that completely from scratch. But it can be more time consuming and it can be a little bit more difficult. Now, since I've told you the different ways that you can create a new mythology, I'm going to let you in on the way that I created my mythology for the Red Sky series. There are several different places that I pulled from for these different mythologies. And that would be my beliefs as a Christian, and Greek and Roman mythology, and also the legends and myths that early sailors would believe. Stuff like mermaids, leviathans, heck, even the Flying Dutchman, which is a legend of the sea that has been around for years upon years upon years. So, what I started out with was the magical items in the story, one of which I have tattooed on my wrist here. And the magical items, I have those as being a part of the creation story in Genesis. It's just not written down. I have it being that whenever God was creating the earth, he also created magical creatures and magical beings that would be able to help form the world and make it run perfectly well. And I have it as the story progresses, those magical beings became jealous of God's relationship with humans, which he also created. And they decide to put their magic into items that will become relevant to the series. Now, at the same time, I also molded together the beliefs of Christians and the pantheon, or some of the pantheon of Romans and Greeks. So I took probably three of the most notable Greek gods or Roman gods. I honestly can't remember which one they are. But I took Zeus, Poseidon, and Hades. And I brought them over into Christian beliefs. And instead of them being gods, I have them being archangels. And for those of you who are familiar with Christian beliefs and are familiar with the story of Lucifer getting kicked out of heaven and being the first fallen angel, then you would also be a little bit familiar with my mythology. Because I have in my books the story of Lucifer being joined by these three gods in trying to overthrow God. And as that is unsuccessful, God expels them from heaven. Poseidon is given dominion over the seas and over earth. Hades is given dominion over the underworld, or as we call it, purgatory. And Lucifer and Zeus, being sort of like the ringleaders of this overthrow, were banished to hell. Now, with Poseidon having dominion over Earth, he is tasked with stopping these jealous magic users from sort of preserving their magic as they try to rebel against God from Earth. And he is quite unsuccessful because obviously the magical items find their way to various different places on the Earth, and it's one of the main catalysts for A Red Sky is Upon Us, which is the first book. And throughout all of the books in the series, they do come across all of these magical items, and they have to find a way to finally destroy this old magic, and they have to find a way to sort of bring an order to the world. So this is all from just pulling from various different places. Obviously, the stuff that is related to like the old-timey sailors' beliefs fits in quite well with the pirate story, but the other stuff I had to move some things around and make it fit into how all of this new mythology was going to work, because especially with my beliefs as a Christian, it's actually made it quite fun because I was able to take these other things and move them into my mythology, and it made it make sense. And I can have fun with these characters and dive into things that wouldn't have been possible if I had already used like a pre-existing mythology. So I know that there's going to be a lot more things that I will dive into with that mythology. I probably said mythology so many times in this video that, and I can't wait to show it to you guys because I think it's fun. I hope that you guys will as well. What are you guys' experience with creating a new mythology for your universe? I'm curious to hear that, so if you would leave a comment down below, that would be awesome. If you enjoyed this video and thought it was helpful, then also like this video and subscribe to this channel so you can continue to see videos just like this. Also, if you enjoy pirate stories and are intrigued by this mythology that I've just mentioned, then check out the Red Sky series. It is available on Amazon and Kindle, and it is a story about a pirate captain who is trying to become the most notorious pirate possible, all the while fighting against magical creatures, evading the English Navy, and trying to win the heart of the daughter of a Commodore. If you do decide to check this out, I hope that you really enjoy it. Thank you all for watching, and I will see all of you in the next video. Peace out.